Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to create basic seventh chord shapes on the guitar. We're going to be going over 5 different types of seventh chords today. We're going to learn how to play a major seventh chord, minor seventh, dominant seventh, minor 7 flat 5, also known as half diminished, and then the fully diminished seventh chord. And for each one of these, we're going to learn 2 different versions or 2 different shapes. One that's going to start on the E string and one that's going to start on the A string. Okay, so we're going to be on the 3rd fret for all of these shapes, and on the A string, that's going to give us C chords. There's your root, the C, and on the E string, it's going to give us G chords. So let's start with the C chord. First, we're going to start with our basic C major bar chord. Now I'm playing this with the root on the A string, 3rd fret, and I am flattening the ring finger to get 3 notes. We have C, which is the root with the index, then G, the 5th, another C, and then E, the 3rd of the chord. Now, this shape comes from our basic A major shape, which most of you probably have already played before. We're just sliding it up to the 3rd and 5th fret, and that A chord becomes a C chord. So this is going to be our starting shape. Now from there, we're going to change things to create our 7th chords. The first one we're going to do is a major 7th chord. We're going to take the C that's in the middle, and we're going to lower it down a half step to B, and that is the major 7th, meaning it is the 7th note of the C major scale. And there you go. I'm barring with my index all the way down. And then I'm using the remaining fingers to get the G, the 5th, the 7th, which is B, and the 3rd. So you have C, G, B, E, and G. That is a C major 7th chord. Okay, from there, to get C 7th or C dominant 7th, we're going to take that B and flatten it to B flat. Now all you have to do is lift up the middle finger and it becomes a B flat. So that chord, the B flat, is underneath your index. So you're barring on the 3rd fret. That gives you the B flat note right there, which is the 7th of C, or the flattened 7th. And this gives us a C7 chord. So anytime you see something that says C7, G7, A7, what that means is it's a major chord with a flattened 7th on top. So it's the dominant 7th. So this is C7 or C dominant 7th. Okay, from there we're going to flatten the 3rd, which is the E. We're going to take this note, move it back a half step, and it's going to be on an E flat note. That gives us a minor 7th. So this is now C minor 7th. The flattened 3rd is on the B string. Okay, so from there we're going to flatten the 5th, which is the G note. To do that, we're going to take this and slide it back. And I'm going to rearrange my hand. So I'm no longer barring. I'm using index, then my ring, then my middle, and then my pinky. And I'm not playing either E string, okay? So just the middle strings. This is the root, the flattened 5th. This is the flat 7, and this is the minor 3rd. That gives you a minor 7 flat 5. It's also called a half diminished chord. Okay, from there we're going to flatten one more note. We're going to flatten the B flat again, and it's going to go down to an A note. So now it's a double flattened 7th. You can also think of it as the 6th, but in this case we're going to think of it as a double flat 7th. That gives you a fully diminished chord, or a fully diminished 7th. Okay, so there's all the 7th chords, the basic 7th chords for the A string. Let's run through them real quickly. We have C major 7th, and then we flatten the 7th. We have C dominant 7th, or C7. Then we flatten the 3rd. We have C minor 7th. Then from there we flatten the 5th. We have C minor 7 flat 5. And then from there we flatten the 7th again. And there you go, that's the C fully diminished 7th chord. Okay, let's move on to the E string. So for the E string, we're going to be using G chords. So this right here is a G major chord. Comes from the E major shape. We just slide it up to the third, fourth, and fifth fret, and it's a G major bar chord. We have the root, the fifth, the root again, the third, we have the fifth again, and the root again. Okay, so from there, what we're going to do is we're actually going to skip major seventh. We're going to come back to that one. We're going to go to the dominant seventh chord because it's easiest. You just lift up the pinky. That's G7 or G dominant seventh. We took the G and we lifted it up, so now it's on the third fret, and that is the flat seventh. That's the F note. So there's your G7 or G dominant seventh. Okay, so for minor seventh, we're going to lift up the middle finger, so we're going to flatten the third by lifting it up. Only two fingers here. I'm barring with the index and using my ring finger. That's a G minor seventh. Okay, so from G major, we had G dominant seventh, and then G minor seventh. Okay, now for the next ones, what we're going to do is we're going to actually leave out the fifth, and we're going to rearrange our fingers a little bit. For major seventh, we're going to leave out the fifth, and it's going to look like this. For this chord, you're going to skip the A string. For me, I'm muting it with my index by lightly touching it, but not barring. So I am not barring on this chord. And I'm not playing the bottom E. That one's also muted. This chord is a G major seventh. It's got the root, the major seven, which is F sharp, because in the key of G, all Fs are sharp. Then you have the third, which is B, and then the fifth, which is D. Okay, so that's your G major seventh chord. Now, for the minor seven flat five, what we're gonna do is it's almost the same shape, but this note is basically gonna be on the same fret as these two notes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip these fingers like this and then scoot back a fret so that we're still on G, because otherwise I would have been a G sharp. So here is minor seven flat five. You have G on the top, then you have F, the seventh, you have B flat, which is the minor third, and then the flattened fifth, which is D flat. Again, I'm skipping the A string. You can mute it if you can, using my middle finger. And then also mute the bottom E string. If you're playing finger style like I am right now, it's not that big of a deal to mute, but if you're strumming chords, then you definitely want to mute this. So that's the minor seven flat five. Okay, from there we only have one more left. We're gonna flat the seventh again. Okay, so this right here, this is the fully diminished seventh chord. To do this, I am flattening my index. So I'm barring three strings with the index. You have the root, you have the double flat seven. With the ring finger, you have the minor third, and then you have the flattened fifth. Again, I'm not playing the bottom E string or the A string. So you want to mute the A string if you can, and try to mute the bottom E string. It's not as important to mute the bottom E string because you can just not hit it with the pick or not hit it with your fingers. Okay, so let's run through those again real quick, just all of the shapes on the E string. We have our major seventh shape. We have our dominant seventh. We have minor seventh. We have minor seven flat five. And we have diminished seventh. And there you go. So those are your basic seventh chord shapes for playing jazz, neo-soul, R&B, pretty much any kind of style that has been influenced by jazz harmony. So I would recommend practicing these shapes first and then try moving them up and down the fretboard because these shapes are movable. So we were doing them on the third fret, which gives you C and G chords. But if you move it up to, say, the fifth fret, it'll give you D chords on the A string or A chords on the E string. And then you can move it up to whichever fret you want to play any chord, basically. You just have to know the notes of the fretboard on your A string and on your E string, because that's where the roots are of these chords. Okay, thanks for watching. If you want to check out some more videos, I have some links afterwards. And also, if you want to get a PDF of this, I'll have all this available on my Patreon. So go check out my Patreon page. It's a great way that you can help support the channel. And I have all kinds of stuff on there. I have PDFs, backing tracks, all kinds of stuff. So thanks again.